Providing a good user experience on your website can be the difference between meeting your business objectives and not. These days, growing brand loyalty and a robust bottom line are signs that your website user experience is working. But how is this achieved? Let's figure it out. Good day everyone, my name is Janelle Diana C. Fernandez, and this video presentation is submitted as a requirement for our course in Application Development and Emerging Technologies, ITE6200. And in this presentation, I will be discussing three major components used in the process of web application development. First, the workflow. Second, the structure. Third, the style. These topics were explained in the module using an example of building a simple dummy university website, which I will follow the same approach so that the concepts are much more easier to visualize and understand. So, let us start with the first part of the discussion. The workflow. What is the workflow? The workflow refers to the tools, processes, and environment that developers use before and during the creation of a website or application. It lays the foundation for the actual development work. These are the tools that we use, the way we organize files, how we track our work, and even how we test our designs. Number 1. In this category, we have the development tools in application development. And these are text editors and IDEs, version control system or Git, using the command line, installing Git and setting up for first use, initializing a Git repository, saving versus committing, determining repository status, viewing repository history, and web browsers. Number 1. Text editors and IDEs. A text editor or integrated development environment (IDE) is where the developer writes the code, for example, Visual Studio Code or Sublime Text, which are lightweight editors. And second are Eclipse, Visual Studio, and Xcode as well. And these are considered as high-end IDEs used for large-scale application. These tools help with syntax highlighting, debugging, and organizing projects. Second, version control system, or Git. Version control systems are used to track changes in the project files over time. Git allows developers to manage multiple versions of the code, restore previous versions, work collaboratively without overwriting each other's work. Next, using the command line. Developers often use the Unix command line to interact with files and directories, and basic tasks include navigating through folders, creating directories, managing files, viewing the structure of the file system. This understanding is essential because many development workflows integrate command line operations. Following this is installing Git and setting up for first use. After Git is installed in the computer, the developer must configure it before starting any project. This involves setting the global username and email address, which Git uses to label every commit. This step is essential because it helps identify who made each changes to the projects by running simple commands such as git configure global user.name, your name, git configure global user.email, your email. And then, Git records the identity of the contributor for all future commits. This setup ensures organized collaboration, accurate version tracking, and accountability throughout the development process. Without this configuration, Git commits could appear anonymous or inconsistent, making it difficult to track contributions or even manage team projects. Number 5. Initializing a Git repository. Before version control can begin, the project folder must be turned into a Git repository. This is done by using the command git init. So initializing a repository creates a hidden folder called .git, which stores all version history, configurations, and tracking information. From this point on, Git monitors the file inside the project directory and allows the developer to track changes, create commits, branch and merge, and lastly, restore previous versions. This process converts a regular folder into a fully managed environment where every modification can be recorded. It is the foundational step that enables structured, organized, and traceable development. Number 6. Saving versus committing. There is an important distinction between saving and committing. Saving modifies the file only on the computer, and committing records a snapshot of the file in the repository. So a commit preserves a version of the project and serves as a checkpoint. Number 7. Determining repository status. Developers frequently check the status of the repository to see which files have been modified, which files are staged for commit, whether there are untracked files. So these keep the workflow all organized. Number 8. Viewing repository history. Git allows developers to view the complete history of the project using the command git log. This feature displays all commits made since the repository was created. For each commit, Git shows the unique commit identification number, the author, the date and time, the commit message describing the change. And then, the repository history is valuable because it provides a chronological record of the project's evolution or progress. Developers can use it to review past changes, identify when an error was introduced, understand the development timeline, restore older versions if necessary. This ability to revisit and analyze the project's progress is what makes JIT such a powerful tool for both individual developers and teams. Number 9. For the last development tools under the workflow category, here are the web browsers used. After writing the code, developers open the project in a web browser to see the results. Common browsers include Google Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Microsoft Edge. But Chrome is commonly used in development because it contains advanced developer tools. Installing Chrome is straightforward. The user downloads it from the official site and follow the setup instructions. Now that we've done with the first discussion, the workflow, we will now move on to our second topic, which is the structure. Part 2, the structure. The structure of a website focuses on HTML or hypertext markup language, which serves as the foundation or skeleton of every web page. Just like buildings need beams and pillars, websites need HTML to organize and position all of their content. HTML tells the browser what each part of the page is, and how content should be arranged, and how different elements relate to each other. Number 1. HTML tags and content. HTML is built using tags, which are instructions wrapped in angled brackets. These tags describe the purpose of the content placed inside them. So as for example, P represents as a paragraph, H1 to H6 represents the headers or headings into the different sizes by the numbers. A represents a link called an anchor tag. Each tag helps structure the web page logically so that both browsers and users understand the contents. Number 2. Paragraphs, headings, anchors, and lists. HTML provides specific elements for different types of content, like paragraph. These are used for long blocks of text. Headings. These help establish hierarchy, similar to chapter titles and subtitles in a book. Anchor tags. These allows us to create clickable links using the href attributes. And lists. helps us organize information in bullet points or in numbers. These structural elements make information easier to read, navigate, and understand. Number 3, tags versus content. HTML separates structures or tags from content or text or media. Tags are instructions and content are the things that the user sees. This separation ensures web pages remain well organized and easier to maintain. Number 4, generalization and the document object model, DOM. HTML content forms a tree-like structure known as document object model, DOM, DOM. The DOM organizes the web page as parent-child relationships where a parent element contains other elements and a child element is nested inside another element. This allows browsers and developers to easily locate, modify, and manipulate parts of the web page. For example, body is the parent of everything inside the page, and inside, body, header, main, and footer are child sections. So following this is visualizing structure with a tree. So when developers visualize HTML as a tree, it becomes easier to understand how elements connect. For example, the website's title might be in the header, the main content might be in the main, contact details might be in the footer. This approach mirrors real-world organizational structure and as well as the web page layout. Number 6 is using HTML validation to identify problems. A validator is a tool that checks whether the HTML is correct and follows web standards. Validation helps detect 1. Missing tags, 2. Incorrect nesting, 3. Typos in element names, and structural errors. Using a validator ensures that the web page is reliable, accessible, and compatible with different browsers. Number 7. Implementing the structure with the workflow. After planning the structures, developers apply it using their workflow tools. And these are text editors, IDE to write HTML. The second is version control or Git to track progress. And the third is browser to view results and debug. This cycle writing, saving, viewing, correcting allows developers to build efficient and error-free web pages. Number 8. Structuring the main content and footer. The last part under the second topic, the structure, discussed a well-organized website that divides information into clear sections, which are main content and the footer. The main content contains the core message, such as texts, images, or videos. And the footer contains additional or supportive details such as contact information, copyright notes, or navigational links. Both sections must follow a logical sequence so users can move through the site smoothly and intuitively. Moving on with our last topic, after the second topic, the structure, we have the style. The style. The style of a web page refers to CSS or cascading style sheets, which is responsible for the visual presentation, design, and overall appearance of the content created with HTML. While HTML provides a structure, CSS determines how that structure looks on the screen, its colors, layout, spacing, and typography. So CSS allows developers to turn a plain text-based web page into something more visually appealing, organized, and user-friendly. Let's move to the first part, CSS rule set. CSS is written using rule sets, which consists of a selector and a declaration block. A selector targets the HTML element, and a declaration block is a set of properties and values that describes the style. A simple way to change the text style, for example, goes like this. This rule set changes all paragraph text to blue and sets the font size into 16 pixels. Now that we understand how a rule set works, the next step is learning the different kinds of selectors so we can use to target specific elements more precisely. Selectors. Number 2, selectors, classes, and pseudoclasses. CSS uses different types of selectors to apply styling. Number 1 is element selectors, and these targets all elements of a specific type like paragraph and header tags. Next is classes, which target specific elements and allow more flexible styling like highlights. And pseudoclasses like hover or active apply styles when users interact with their cursor on the element of the web page. These tools give developers precise control over how each part of a page looks and behaves. So once we know how to target elements, the next step is understanding how those elements occupy space, which lead us to the box model. Number 3, the box model. Padding, border, and margin. Every HTML element is treated as a box with 4 main components: content, padding, border, and margin. Content are texts or images. Padding, space inside the box. Border, it is the outline around the element. And margin, space outside the element. This part is essential for layout and spacing. Without understanding the box model, websites will look messy, cramped, or misaligned. So it ensures a clean and consistent design. After learning how elements are structured visually, we also need tools to check and improve our styling, which brings us to cascading rules and inheritance. Cascading rules and inheritance. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and the word cascading is important. It means that when multiple style of rules apply to the same HTML element, the browser follows a specific order to determine which rule is used. This order considers factors such as the type of selectors, where the rule appears in the style sheets, and whether the rule is marked as important. Understanding this helps developers predict how the browser will interpret their styles, especially when working on large projects with many different rules. On the other hand, inheritance is another key concept in CSS. Some style properties such as text color, font family naturally flow from a parent element down to its children. This behavior allows developers to apply general style to entire sections of a web page without having to repeat the same rule for every element. Number 5, layout using floats and the clear property. So before modern layout systems like Flexbot, CSS Grid became standard, developers commonly used the float property to position elements horizontally, such as creating columns or placing images besides texts. Floats allow elements to float to the left or right of their container, enabling simple layouts without complex positioning. However, using floats can sometimes cause layout issues such as overlapping or collapsing. This is where the clear property becomes important. Clear property instructs an element to stay below or any floated element on the left, right, or bottom. So these are the foundational knowledge of floats that helps maintain or update existing projects. Number 6, working with fonts. CSS provides control over typography, including the font family, the font size, the text weight, the line weight, and the spacing. Good typography improves the readability and overall visual quality of a website or web page for users. Following this is resetting browser inconsistencies. Every web browser, such as Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and Edge, comes with its own set of default CSS styles. These built-in styles affect elements like headings, paragraphs, lists, and margins because each browser applies slightly different defaults. A web page may look inconsistent when viewed across multiple platforms. So to solve this, developers often use a CSS reset. A CSS reset removes or neutralizes the browser's default styles so that all elements start from a uniform baseline. So by standardizing the initial state of the page, CSS resets reduce layout discrepancies, improve cross-browser compatibility, and it also helps to create a more predictable development environment. Number 8. Using CSS lint to identify problems. CSS lint to identify problems. It is a tool that analyzes CSS code and it identifies mistakes, inefficiency, and potential styling issues. This part helps developers write cleaner and more reliable CSS. It prevents issues later when the project becomes larger or more complex. So once we can detect problems in CSS, the next step is learning how to inspect and test the styling using Chrome developer tools for troubleshooting. Number 9. Using Chrome developer tools for troubleshooting. Chrome tools allow developers to inspect elements, test cascading changes by live, identify layout problems, monitor responsiveness. This part makes debugging easier and faster. Instead of guessing what's wrong, developers can see changes in real time, improving workflow and accuracy. So after learning how to inspect and test designs, we can explore more advanced ways to structure layouts like CSS Grid. So number 10, Modern Layout CSS Grid. CSS Grid is a powerful layout system that provides a structured way to arrange page content in rows and columns. Developers can create multi-column layouts, adjust spacing, align elements accurately, make responsive designs for different screen size. This part allows developers to build modern, organized, and professional-looking layouts. Grid makes page design even clearer and cleaner and reduces the need for old, complicated layout methods. Now that we've known how to lay out elements using Grid, we apply everything to an actual project, building a web page. Number 11. Applying style to build a web page. In the module example of building a dummy university website, CSS was applied to set colors and spacing, create columns for content, adjust fonts, ensure that the layout is clean and readable, and improve the user experience through visual hierarchy or font sizes and headings. So this final part shows how all the CSS concepts come together to transform plain HTML into a polished, functional website. It provides that each previous lesson builds towards creating a real visually appealing website. And lastly, final modifications. The last steps include adjusting spacing, refining colors, improving readability, and ensuring that the layout works well on different screen sizes. So in conclusion, in summary, application development involves three fundamental components. Workflow, structure, and style. Workflow, these are the tools and processes used to manage code and organize development. Number two, structure, which are the HTML frameworks that define the content of the website. And lastly, the style, which is the CSS rules that improve visual presentation and user experience. By combining these three elements, developers can turn plain HTML into a complete, functional, and aesthetic website. Understanding structure ensures content is meaningful. Mastering workflow guarantees clean and efficient code. And applying style transforms the design into a polished yet user-friendly experience. And together, they form a cohesive system that allows web developers to build a professional and interactive website. With practice, these skills empower developers to bring their ideas to life on the web, creating experiences that are both efficient and visually engaging. So, every good website has one essential element, an incredible user experience. Visitors stays on a website when they find that the experience is worthwhile. And that is all for this video presentation. Thank you for listening.